Hello everyone, welcome to Amy's Bookshelf and welcome to a crazy readathon TBR. So September seems to be the month where everything is happening and I'm okay with that. I managed to cross over a lot of books, but it is a bit of a juggling balance with all of the different readathons and prompts, and it is really fun and extra challenging for myself to make them all work with the fewest amount of books if possible without doubling up. So I have put together a TBR for Becca's Bookoplathon for the Seasonathon Academy. I've also put together a TBR for middle grade magic, and I am not going with all the prompts there, but I'm going to try and read my way through as many as possible. I also have here the prompt for a game of a bookish life. As you can tell, I'm not going to slow down with this month at all, but I have exciting plans for all of my reading. So I think we're going to get into Becca's Bookoplathon first, and then we'll go into the Seasonathon, and then we'll go into middle grade magic and everything else. So first of all, Becca's Bookoplathon. At the beginning of this game, I chose to read or roll 9 prompts and hope that I didn't get too many doubles because I read 9 books for my normal TBR game of Clue. So I was hoping, I feel like that's a safe number. I normally hit 15 books. So I was like, let me hope I don't get all these doubles. So let me show you the first roll. So for the first roll, we got a spring cover, and I'm going to be reading The Leavenworth Case. This is by Anna Catherine Green, I want to say is her last name. This is my author jar pull for the month. Every month I pull out 2 authors I want to try off my shelves, which look disastrous, I know. Anyways, they are 2 authors that I've never read typically before. Maybe I've read 1 book by them, but I am forcing myself to attempt their work every month, or those 2 I pull. So one of them was Anna Catherine Green. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Anyway, so I'll be reading The Leavenworth Case. This one looks springish on the cover. It's a garden. I'm excited for it. It's an audiobook I have on Audible, so I'm gonna check out that one for the spring prompt. In a house. So next we got the prompt of summer, and for that one I was going to go with another author jar potential, which is not the official author jar pull, but that is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. This one is a children's middle grade classic about these animals who live, I think, in a pond area. I don't know much more, but I do want to read this. It is in my author jar, like I mentioned, but also it'll fit for middle grade magic later down the line. So this is one that I am probably going to get to for summer. It feels summerish to me. The cover, picnic, feels like that. This, by the way, is a cover from Bookishly, and I will link my unboxing down below of this one, but yeah, love their covers. I also have here Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This one takes place in August, so summertime. I have very high hopes for this one, although I did not enjoy People We Meet on Vacation as much as I enjoyed the other one. People We Meet on Vacation gets like 3 stars, but I'm really excited for this one. It sounds a lot more up my normal alley, and I am excited for this romance that's all surrounding books. So these are my 2 summer choices for Bookoplathon. Want to leave. The next one was a random color, and I used my color wheel that I always use. This one gave me the color of rose. I was like, what do you wear, or what do you read that's rose, not wear? But I ended up choosing The Horse and His Boy for this one by C.S. Lewis. This cover is kind of purplish pinkish, but it's not red, and the red and rose are different on this color wheel. So I'm gonna go with this one. It kind of looks rosish in certain paler areas. Anyways, this is my choice. We are reading it, or I'm reading it for the Narnia Read Along, which is hosted by Christine and Amy. I will link their channel down below like everyone else I will mention in this video. But I am excited for this one, and this is an edition that has a very beautiful cover. This is my favorite book in the entire Narnia series, and I'm very excited to reread it for the Read Along. You walk in with someone new. Can't believe that this is true. For the next one of light cover, I am going with this one, which is The Moving Finger by Agatha Christie. This is my Agatha Christie book for the month. I'm very excited for this one. I love Miss Marple, and I've actually been waiting for this one to get on a TBR or fit for a TBR. So I'm happy with this one. This one follows Miss Marple as she's going to a village where people are being blackmailed. I don't know much else and I don't really want to. I'm just excited to read Miss Marple and her fun ways of figuring out the gossip and figuring out whodunits, all by knowing people very well. So I'm reading The Moving Finger for this one.
And there's nothing I can do. This can't be real. This can't be happy.
So for lowest rated, I'm kind of cheating. This one is one that, according to Goodreads, when I checked, had 0% or like 0.00 because no one has reviewed it ever. So I'm like, well, that technically is lowest. And it works for my challenge of reading a collection for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge hosted by Chantel Reads All Day. So I was like, this is gonna go in. I don't care. It's technically lowest rated. That is Norse mythology. This one is called, or subtitled, Tales of the Gods, Sagas, and Heroes. There is no collector I can see on this one. It is just a beautiful edition of Norse mythology. It has these wonderful little stories and like the edges are super shiny. I don't know if that will catch on light, but it is. And they even have pictures in them. I'll try finding one. So here's a picture. So they are wonderful and I'm excited to read this Norse mythology collection, but also for lowest rated. It turned out quite well.
I did everything I could to make you happy.
For pre-1990s, or 1999, I chose one of my classics that I'm also reading. It's also a kind of middle grade YA-ish book, but that's called Island Magic by Elizabeth Gouge. I've heard her name's Googe. I've always pronounced it Gouge. I'm excited to read this one. I don't know much. I just remember starting it and reading about a boy who was on a boat with his grandfather and father in the nighttime. So I'm excited to read this one. It fits for TBR Clue and it fits for definitely pre-1999 setting and written.
Is this a dream? Is this a nightmare?
The next one was Random Emoji, and I chose this website, and I don't remember if there's 4 or 5, you'll see on here. Anyways, they have them labeled, so it's easier to even take that. I'm gonna go with the newspaper emoji for this one and read one that is about gossip and about basically a school news information thing that goes around and it's bad, and that's called The Book At Least Is One of Us Is Lying by Karen McManus. I'm happy to fit it in this TBR as well as my TBR Clue. It's been a series that I've wanted to start for a while, so I'm excited that this can fit in, and I'm definitely squeezing it into news as, from what I understand, the guy who ends up dying in that one is kind of like the gossip guru, and he spreads all of the bad news about everyone. I don't know if it's in an actual newsletter or not, but still, I think it's going to be interesting.
I wake and I'm afraid that you won't be there.
For the mystery one, I am going with one of many that I have in my TBR. I have many mysteries on my TBR, but one of them is Torn. This one's by Casey Hill. This one's about a serial killer who changes his MO every time, and it is going to be a hard one for the police or the FBI or whoever it is to find him or her, who knows. So I'm excited for this one. It is going to be something I've had for my shelves for a while. If I can read it, then I can at least like unhaul it if I don't love it and look for more from Casey Hill if I do, because I've owned this book for probably 4 to 5 years. So it's about time I read it.
Follow you, I don't know why. I try to.
So for the next one, which was Feed Scroll, I had 2 choices. I found one picture. It was really hard to find any pictures at the beginning, so I looked up, I don't remember what the tag was, but I found The Apostle's Daughter. This one is by, I'm drawing a blank now, Angela Hunt, I believe. This one is about New Testament biblical fiction, which sounds really interesting. I have the arc of it, so I do need to read it very soon. I plan on reading it no matter what in September, or trying to at least. The other one is when I was going through my Goodreads one day, I noticed that the first book I owned was actually The House Across the Lake by Riley Sagar, and I have not read this one yet, so I figured this is another option too for me. I can either have a physical book or an ebook, and I'm happy about that. This one, don't know anything. It's just set on a lake, and I'm excited to read Riley Sagar's work. I've enjoyed all of his books, even if they are not perfect. I've enjoyed the variety and I've enjoyed reading them, so I'm excited for this one as well.
But only cry. smile for him.
So for the last one, we got Go, and I could have easily gone to my Goodreads TBR and randomized it, but I decided to go with a TBR jar pull because that's always fun. This one, I think, has books that I collected in 2020 or 2019. That's not right, 2020 or 2019. Anyways, let's pull a book, and if I've read it, great, and if I unhold it, great, and if I can pick another one, great. So this one is King Arthur's Bones by the Medieval Murders. I will get that, and that will be my go to Goodreads and randomize. Here it is. This is the one that I distinctly remember purchasing with my sisters. We had gone thrift shopping all day, and I hadn't picked up one book, and I was like, I'm so proud of myself, not one book. And then I saw this one and bought it. So this is what broke that streak that day. But this one sounds exciting. It's a Medieval Murders book series, and it's set in 1191, it says. So I'm excited to read this one, and it's been one on my shelves for a very long time as well, as it's in a TBR jar. So glad to add that one to the list. So as you can see, that was 10 prompts because I rolled one double. However, I did not count properly when I was doing all of my rolls, and I accidentally ended up with roll number 11. And I'll just show you this one, as this is an extra book for me, maybe.
I've never known. All my heart can do is moan.
So the book is The Hidden Prince by Tessa Afshar. This is an arc that I have coming out. As I run down on chance cards, I wanted to pull cards that are only arcs that I have coming up. So this one comes out in November. I'm excited about this one. I don't know who the Hidden Prince is in this. I can't remember. I feel like it's Old Testament, maybe Jonathan. It's biblical fiction, and I am really excited for Tessa Afshar's new book. So even better if that's not officially on the TBR, but it's a book I'd like to get to if I have the time. So next we have Seasonathon Academy, and I have this here, but I've really filled out all of my books right here. I am going for 10 books, as I am already reading 10 books for normal life. Some of them were added in, and I'm just happy that I could fit more books in, but these are not required if I have finished the top 5. So first one, the first prompt is English, which is to read a book that you just want to read. For that one, I'm going to go with The Horseman's Boy by C.S. Lewis. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. It is a reread for me, and I'm excited to read it again for the read along, and it'll be perfect for just a book you want to read. For the prompt of math, I will be reading a book that ends in the number 1. I'm not going to tell you my birthday because I feel like that's a lot of information to give on the internet, but my number does end in 1, and I found that Elizabeth Gouge's Island Magic ends with the number 1. So I'm going to be clicking that in there. It's going to be nice and handy. It is a short book. It's like, well, this version itself is, 321 pages. So yeah, not too short, but also not too long. And I have an ebook, so I'm excited to read that one as well. I should say instead of, not just as well, because it's the same book. So for the next section, I have several picks from that, but the first one I have written down is the communications one, which is mass media history, to read a book that's an audio or an ebook. I'm going to be listening to 11th Birth Case, so I figured that's a great one to put in. I have no knowledge about it, except for the fact that it's set or was written pre-1900 or around that time, so it's one of the first mysteries written by a woman and publicly acknowledged, so I'm excited to read that. For the world history prompt, it is to read a book set in the past. And since I have The Hidden Prince on my TBR as an unofficial Bookopoly book, and also as a book I really do need to read for an arc, I'm going to put in The Hidden Prince here. It is set very much in the past, thousands of years ago, so I'm excited to pick this one up. So for the mythology class, to read a book based on any mythology, I already am reading Norse mythology, so I figured this one is super easy to just add in as I'm already reading it. I'm not like adding an extra book in here, but this one will be very handy to read for that as well. For the applied critical thinking course, you need to read a book that has a mystery, and I'm going to be reading as a book that comes out in October. This Christmas book is one I do need to read. It's on TBR Clue as well, which is The Christmas Murder Mystery. It's about this family that gets together at Christmas, and I think murders go down. I'm excited. I don't know much more, and I don't want to know much going in. So very excited for this one, and it is an arc that I need to read in advance of October. So perfect. So for Introduction to Philosophy, you need to read a book that has good versus evil. And I have another arc that I need to read for October, which is called Victorian Murderesses. This one is about Victorian serial killers, I believe it is, or Victorian women who murdered. And I'm excited to read a different perspective on this. Obviously, it's evil with murder, but I feel like it's also going to have good versus evil with the cops or the police trying to solve the murders, but also having this dilemma and this moral dilemma of can women really be serial killers and how women actually do this. So I'm excited to read this arc. For the pop culture prompt, it is to read a book that has been adapted or into a TV show or a movie, and I haven't watched it at all, but I do know that The Magician's Nephew is an adaptation series. So I'm excited to pick this one. Also, it's being adapted, so I'm going to count that. This is the second book I need to read for the Narnia read along, and I'm excited to pick this one up as well. This one ranks pretty high in my favorite, or my order of the books at least, and I'm excited to jump back into this world again. Going back to the previous section of the histories, I'm going to be also reading a book that's set in, or that is for the Modern East Asia course, which is to read a book by an Asian author. And I have here Sorry Not Sorry by Sanya Singh. This one sounds really great. It sounds like it's about a woman who is in charge of this like matchmaking company or something, and she doesn't know much about her own culture. And so she meets a guy, and basically they have it set up where I think maybe she's going to be his date, but he's going to teach her about their wedding culture. And it sounds like it's going to be super cute, super funny, and it's going to be a romance. So I'm happy to add it to my list. The next one is to read a book that is from a country set from your own, that's elementary foreign language 1. So for that one, I will be reading, I don't even have a physical book of it yet. It's Enola Holmes and the Elegant Escapade. This one is by Nancy Springer, and I have an arc of it as well. A lot of arcs fit into this TBR, which I was very happy about. Anyways, this one is the last book published, or the most recent book published, I should say, in the Enola Holmes series. I think this is book 8, and I've been reading this whole series with Chris from Chris's Corner. I will link their channel down below. It's been really interesting to read the whole series from the very beginning to now, and I'm excited to see where Enola goes next. So that's it for the Seasonathon Academy TBR. Now let's get into middle grade magic. So for middle grade magic, it's kind of like a role-playing game where you develop your own world. So the first prompt is to read something that has someone like you in it, or something that's different than you. So a person who can be either or. I'm going with both for this one because I can, and because it does fit. I'm gonna be reading Soul Lanterns. I read this one before, and I purchased my own copy, and I'm in love, and I really want to read it again. So this is by Shah Kazuski. This one is about the atomic bomb and what happened 25 years after, when everyone is trying to learn more. So this is about a generation of students who are trying to discover what happened and how exactly it impacts everyone's lives. It was so powerful, and I loved it, and I can't wait to read it again. It is translated, and it was translated in 2021. I highly recommend checking it out for so many prompts on this thing, but yeah, definitely a good one. For the next one, you're trying to find your companion, I'm going to go with the one of sibling, and that's one that has family themes. I'm trying to get more series in here, and of that is the Wizard of Oz series. So the next one I have to read is Rinky-Tink in Oz. This one is very much a found family situation, and they all have developed into this really tight-knit group. So I'm excited to read this one for maybe a found family aspect, but it does have family as a priority. Also, Dorothy's aunt and uncle are present, so I'm going to call that. For genre, I'm going to pick the one that is one you normally don't read a lot of, and I don't know if this qualifies as a genre, but I'm going to call it like animal fiction. This is a series, or not series, but a genre that I struggle with, or at least this trope maybe, so that's maybe different. But it is one that I struggle with, as I don't like talking animals in my books a lot, so I'm going to see how much I enjoy this, but I'm going to put this one in here, but I also have a few others. For another genre I don't read a lot of is fantasy, and I'm reading The Magician's Nephew as well for this month, so I'm going to try reading them in the first few weeks. This one, because this readathon's only a couple weeks, this one is going to be another fantasy that I don't typically read. So for the setting one, I'm going to read a book by an author I love, and that's C.S. Lewis, at least in regards to the series and his nonfiction. I really love his work, so I'm going to be reading The Horse and His Boy for this prompt. Very simple, very easy. So the prompt I'm going with for setting, or not setting, but prompt, is something weird is going on, you want to know what. So for that one, I'll be reading Mr. Popper's Penguins. This one's a funny story. I did Battle of the Books growing up, where we argued, or we had to know these facts about books, and we had to like be quizzed. So because of this, I am so excited to finally read this one. I saw it and I grabbed it because we always knew Mr. Popper's Penguins, and you always knew it was Richard Atwood, but I have never read it. I watched the movie, and I'm very excited to actually read the book now. I don't think it's talking animals, but I'm excited to pick this one up because I think it's just going to be fascinating and different and exciting for me to read something I'm not normally used to. So this could fit for the out of comfort zone prompt too. So the next one I'm going to also go with is You're Not the Chosen One, so kind of a mix of both. And that is to read something that you are in the middle of or that you need to read for another readathon. And because I have actually already started this book, I'm going to go with Island Magic by Elizabeth Gouge. I've technically started it. I would probably need to restart it, but I have. And also it's for my other readathons as I am putting it in those other spots. So I'm going to totally count this. Hi, it is the next day and I realized that I forgot about series September. I was watching Chris's video and I was like, wait, that's one I forgot too. So yay. Anyways, because of that one, I've also been able to do, or I'm hoping to do 30 books in 30 days. So let's quickly go over this series September prompts. So the first one is to read the first book in a series or start a series. And I'm going to be reading Torn for this one. This is book 2 in this series, even though it's a 13-book series, but I don't own book 1 and I'm not going to go out and read it just for this readathon. So Torn is officially the first book I'll be reading in this series. The next one is to read 2 books from the same author or same series. I'm going to be doing both with the Chronicles of Narnia series. So obviously The Horseman's Boy, The Magician's Nephew, both from C.S. Lewis. For A Blast from the Past, which is one that I have started or I read as a child or whatever else, I'm going to go with both again of those ideas, which is Oz. I read Oz when I was a kid and now like a couple books, but not much. And now I'm reading the whole series. I need to read Ring-a-Tink of Oz. So this will be one that I've been reading for a very long time series, but also a series I read as a kid. The next one is to read a book that's really popular or a prize winner. I'm going to go with One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. I'm reading this one for TBR Clue, but then I realized that this is a very popular one and I actually could fit it right easily in. So this will be my popular one. I've never read the series. It is technically starting a series as well, but I'm excited to read One of Us is Lying. The next prompt is to read the final book in a series or to be caught up in a series. I'm going to be trying to read Ripley's Game, which I believe is the final book in the Hound Mr. Ripley series. And if it's not the final book in that series, I will be reading Enola Holmes and the Elegant Escapade. I hope we can get that in this month, but that will be the final or up-to-date book in the series if I can't read Ripley's Game because of this prompt. Another book that's a potential for finishing off a real series, and it's one that I do need to finish off as I have one left in this companion series, and that's Possibilities by Deborah Whitesmith. I meant to read this in July, I didn't get to it, and this is a persuasion retelling. So this is also an option for me to pick up during that time. For number 6 is to read a book that's out of your typical comfort zone, whether it be genre or style of reading or whatever else. I will be trying to read Enola Holmes for this one. I'm trying not to double up, but Enola Holmes is a YA book, and I don't typically read YA, but also I have Kilkenny. This is the 3rd book in the series and it is going to make an appearance again, but this is a Western and I don't typically read Westerns, so this could work as well. The next one is to read a book with a series that you own a lot of, but you haven't started yet. And one of these actually is one of my Buzz Readathon books, so it works perfectly. I bought the box set of Love in Snow Valley by Kimberly Montpetit. This one, I don't remember what the first one is called, but it's like a 5-book box set that I have. So I have it on Kindle and I need to get to it. So it was perfect timing. The next one is an adaptation. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by putting this one on here, but I really do need to get a hold on the series problem I have. And so one of those is the Born series. So this is the 2nd one in the series. It has an adaptation and I love the movies, but the books are really dense. And so I need to like commit to it and get my teeth sunk in. So I'm gonna put this one on here for an adaptation. The next one is to read a book that's in a trilogy, and this is a trilogy and I haven't read book 2 yet. So that one is called Mountain Valley War. So I'll be reading Mountain Valley War and then Kilkenny, at least I plan to, for this time because it is in its trilogy, even though there's extra side books, but that would be nice to knock off one of my series to read this year. It's on my official list and I am doing poorly, so that'd be nice. So as you can see, tons of books that I'm reading. And because of this, almost all of them are physical. Maybe not all, I have a good chunk that are not, but they have 22 books on this list. And I was thinking about it and I realized that I also am going to be reading 8 Bible books in September. So I will be literally reading 30 books, although none of them really fit under that 300-page marker except for the Bible books. Like these are all giant. Like this one is 600 and something pages, but I am hoping that I can like get these done and maybe just knock off a bunch of series books while also hitting 30 books in 30 days, because it's most likely I will. So that's officially me putting out this entire video as my 30 books in 30 days TBR. So back to Naomi from the past. I also have Amy's prompts from A Game of a Bookish Life, which weren't out last time I filmed my video, and I'm okay that I'm going to film them in this video. So for the first one, which is to do an Indigenous author, I'm going to be reading When We Are Kind by Monique Gray Smith. I'll be reading many books by Indigenous authors during the last week of September. It's for Truth and Reconciliation Week. If you did not know, here in Canada, we have that day now, the September 30th, and we are celebrating it or discussing it for the full week before. So I will be reading many books about that, but I'm going to officially put in When We Are Kind by Monique Gray Smith. This one is someone, I've heard her speak before at one of our conferences, and I'm excited to read this with the children and talk about the cultural elements that they might not necessarily always live with. So the next one that she had was a TBR game. So she said we could use someone else's TBR game. I could easily slide in one of my own books for this, but I kind of wanted to make myself have a challenge. The other thing that is, was a thought of mine is I could steal one of her prompts from her shelf or from her videos as well. And I chose for that one, Book Lovers, because this one is on the NRP, whatever that one was, that was her prompt. I looked it up and this is on that list. So I figured, well, I own it. I can read it. It's also one of the books that I'm interested in. I think it also popped up for one of my scroll books too. So I had a few options, but I'm going to put this one in there. Or she said we could do a chance because it's, she did Becca's Bookoplathon and a chance card. And I have chance cards here. So I figured it'd be fun to pull another chance card as well. I'm going to hold them like this so I can't see. And let's pull out another arc for me to read. And hopefully it's one that's already on my TBRs somehow. Okay, look at this one. And it is good. It is Enola Holmes and the Elegant Escapade by Nancy Springer. So this one is already there, so it'll be my chance book. I also could have put in a hidden prints, but I didn't want to. Please let me know down below if you're doing any of these readathons and books that you've picked or books you're really excited for. I would love to chat about them, or we could just talk about how we can't stand to miss out on a readathon. I really appreciate all the comments, and I am so excited that I get to read these books or read these readathons with you. So please leave a comment down below. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this if you would like to with anyone. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
I don't wanna be alone. This can't be real.